Welcome back to GN Sports, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. And while we bask in playoff football, even if it's without the Bears again, the reality is NFL postseason schedule shrinks as the stakes get higher. From 3 doubleheaders last week, just 2 this weekend. The divisional round brings the pair of top seeds back into play. We looked ahead to the matchups tomorrow and Sunday with USA Today national NFL writer Tyler Dragging beginning tonight's Gimme 5 with the Packers and Jordan Love looking to pull off another road upset versus the NFC's team coming off a bye, the San Francisco 49ers.
It's going to be a tall task. This 49ers defense is a whole lot different than the Dallas Cowboys defense. They have the best middle linebacker in the NFL, in my opinion, in Fred Warner, not to mention a former defensive player of the year. And Nick Bosa, their pass rush is one of the top in the NFL. They have a top 10 defense. The 49ers, they are the best team in the NFC, and Jordan Love and the Packers, they're in for a challenge. Now, do I think Jordan Love and the Packers, this young Packers team, can make it competitive? Yes, a little bit, but I still have the 49ers with the edge because they're just so well-rounded on both sides of the ball, not only defensively, but offensively.
Let's talk about the other 7-1 matchup tomorrow in the other conference there with another young quarterback. I mean, this C.J. Stroud and this Texas team goes in seemingly with, a nothing to lose, a house money type of attitude. Is there any danger for Baltimore with them really not having played their main guys for 3 weeks now, with kind of all the pressure on them versus this other attitude that Houston has in with another young quarterback that seems to be rolling and, seems not to have a care in the world when it comes to pressure?
Yeah, sure, there's danger for Baltimore. I've seen them collapse in the fourth quarter multiple times this year and beat themselves. Now, do I think that they're going to do that again in a playoff environment at home in Baltimore? No. They have, again, one of the best defenses in the NFL. They rank first in total sacks and points allowed. In fact, when they played the Texans and C.J. Stroud in week 1, they sacked C.J. Stroud 5 times. I expect their defense to dial up the blitz, some exotic blitz packages, and try to confuse rookie quarterback in C.J. Stroud and kind of rattle him a little bit. But C.J. Stroud, what can I say? He's probably going to get NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, either him or Puka Nacua from the Rams. He's so poised, composed in the pocket. He reads defense as well. He processes. He's a quick thinker. But in Baltimore, they are going to try to confuse him, have a lot of different blitz packages, and get after him and try to make him play faster and make quick decisions and quick reads. And I just think it's going to be too much for a young Houston Texans team against, in my opinion, the best overall team in football in the Baltimore Ravens.
Moving into Sunday's games in the AFC, Patrick Mahomes finally going on the road for the first time in his playoff career, with the exception of, neutral sites. And probably not with the arsenal that he's had in years past. How do you anticipate this game going on Sunday night, especially against a team that's really on a roll that a lot of people left for dead, and now they might be the hottest team in the NFL playing at home?
Yeah, it's crazy that this is Patrick Mahomes' first true road playoff game. And I do believe that he's kind of reading the press clippings. He's hearing all the noise that he hasn't been on the road in the playoffs before. And star athletes, tip-top, number one caliber athletes, they kind of use that and channel that as motivation. I mean, you're familiar with Michael Jordan. He used everything as motivation. Patrick Mahomes, he's on that type of arc as a professional quarterback. And I think he's using all those naysayers talking about that he hasn't played a playoff game on the road. He hasn't been tested in a hostile environment. He's going to use that and channel that as motivation. And I believe that the Chiefs, they're going to come to play. And the big question is, will those receivers catch passes? They led the league in drop balls this year. Will they create separation and catch passes? If they can do that and help Patrick Mahomes out, I think they'll be in a good position. And overall, I do think Kansas City, they're going to pull off that win. But it's going to be close. I can't wait. That's the game of the weekend.
And finally, Detroit, too much offense at home going up against this Tampa Bay defense?
I believe so. And Detroit is such a feel-good story. Them not hosting a playoff game in 30 years, them not winning a playoff game since the 1991 season, them to knock that monkey off their back last week. So now they can play, carefree with not a whole lot of pressure and all that, storylines surrounding the game. And now they could just focus on between the white lines and beat a Bucks team that they beat pretty handily in week 6. And up front, Detroit has one of the best offensive lines in football. And I think they're going to use that to establish the run and kind of run down the throats of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I expect the Lions to roll.
All right, put on your Bears GM hat now. You've been sitting there in the USC backyard, even though I know you're a UCLA guy via Howard. But you've witnessed Caleb Williams here pretty much up close and personal over the last couple of years. And Justin Fields from a distance. Which way are you going from a quarterback standpoint here in Chicago?
So I'm going to make this simple for Bears fans and everybody alike. If I was the Bears GM, I would ask myself 3 questions. When Justin Fields was coming out of college, what was his draft grade? Now, was his draft grade better than Caleb Williams? That answer is probably no. Caleb Williams' draft grade is better. Now, does Justin Fields have a higher ceiling than Caleb Williams? That answer is still probably no. And then again, you have to look at Justin Fields is up for a new contract. 2024 is the final year of his 4-year rookie deal. You're going to either have to pay him or sign him to that 5th-year option. Or you can get a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract in Caleb Williams and build around him if you trade Justin Fields. Maybe you get a first-round pick and some players in exchange for Justin Fields. So I think if you factor in all those scenarios, weigh all those 3 questions, the answer is pretty easy. You go with the USC quarterback, and that's not just because I'm a Southern California guy.
So you've seen some of these offensive coordinator candidate names from Kingsbury to Greg Roman to Waldron and some of the others, but the Kingsbury one is the one that really jumped out to people when the word came out yesterday. Do you see that as a potential marriage, an obvious connecting link, if not a scouting report for the Bears looking at Caleb Williams?
I think it's both. Definitely a scouting link and a potential marriage. Cliff Kingsbury, he's proven that he's a good offensive-minded coach. He brings an innovative type of offense, and pairing him with a player like Caleb Williams, I think that can work wonders in Chicago and make that offense more versatile and more explosive. So I really do think there's a whole lot of smoke to that interview.
Thanks to Tyler for his time. One of my favorite names to have interviewed here in recent years, Tyler Dragon of USA Today.